Well, hello everyone. Little bit of a different scene today. I'm happy to say that, it's the last time I talked to you, it was 75 days of bleeding, heavy bleeding. Today, it's 79 days of bleeding. Today was the first day where I have barely spotted. And I am so excited. My partner Dave texted me and he said, "How are you doing today? Are you okay?" He's been so worried about me this whole time. And I said, "Yeah, it's great. This is the first day where I haven't bled. So 79 days of bleeding in total." And he says, his response, "Well, people have gone around the world in 80 days. So I guess, I'm like, yeah, that's great. I feel like I've literally been around the world and I've just been sitting in my house. My body feels like it's gone around the world, and my exhaustion levels feel like I've gone around the world. But yes, I am so thrilled. So I do feel better. I feel energized today, which doesn't mean that I'm going to just start doing stuff. I'm still taking off the rest of the month. Ish. Anyway, so the last time we talked, 75 days, I had just come back from a endometrial biopsy and walked you through that process and talked to you about what my doctor had said. Now, as I said in that last video, that I wanted to talk about the whole self-care component, because self-care has been something that I have really been looking at. So I want to bring you into this a little bit. Now, it doesn't matter where you are in your life, how old you are, there is something to be said about self-care. And for me, I don't feel like I am the best person at self-care. My friend always says to me, your body is going to let you know when it's done with you being everything to everyone else and not really taking care of yourself. She's right. That day is full and over, and I am now engaging in this process. So I want to talk a little bit about self-care, and I wrote some stuff down. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes on my iPad Pro. But this is the thing that I do believe. I do believe that our body is full of life stories. And in fact, our body holds memory and experience inside of its cells. And one way that the body lets us know that it needs to release something is by having reactions or whatever. And for me, in every single aspect, in every single way, the body takes an experience in word, thought, and memory is created from that. Trauma is harbored, and trauma in all kinds of aspects, whether it's sexual assault or rape, verbal, physical, emotional abuse, bullying, alcoholism, betrayal, or violence in any form, whether you've experienced it firsthand or whether you just witnessed it. The body pulls it in. The body is a container, and it holds the power and the memory of when you bristled or when you freaked out or when you watched something happen. It holds the memory within itself. And I think that's really important to know, because this journey that I'm on might push you a little bit in your philosophy and how you see life, and that's totally fine. Perhaps you can find something in here that might resonate with you, and maybe you don't find anything that resonates with you, and that's okay. This is just really what I have come to and some of the things that I believe. And so, the body, I think, is a container of these kinds of things. And it holds on to experience, past, present, and the anticipation of what might happen in the future. We don't know the future, but I think sometimes my body goes, well, I don't even trust you because, you haven't shown that you could even take care of yourself. For goodness sake, you pour out, you give to all your kids, to all your family, to all the people, to everything, but you don't restore and give back. And so the body, for me, is the densest part of the soul. And it uses various ways to express and release the stories of our life. And so then this might be true with my 79-day journey through this insanely heavy menstrual bleeding and what they would call irregular bleeding. It's unrelenting, and it was unrelenting until this, thank goodness, this progesterone pill. So I want to share a little bit about tapping into the connection to our body, because there might be some of you out there that are just young teenagers, and really you might be 55, 60, 70 and not ever really connected to your body in this way. But look, again, this is my experience and how I've dealt with this. The thing is, I've realized I can't control anything. I cannot control one thing that happens. What I can control is my self-care, and the way I talk to myself, how I treat myself, and how the state of my mind interacts with my body. So I can change my experience by gratitude, affirmation, and connection. And so, there's things that have asked me to be brave in this situation. There's moments where I have had a feeling of, oh my gosh, maybe I have cancer, right? It's an option, could happen. But I've also said to the universe or to God, whatever your belief is there, I've said, look, you can heal me at any given time. What message do you need me to hear? And that's the biggest one for me. What do you want to say? And it happened one night when I was laying in bed. As I told you, if you've been following along, I have spent every night up every single hour. Getting up, bleeding, coming back, and clot coming out, and then coming back to bed, getting 45 minutes of sleep, and then, oh, here's another one again. It's just unbelievable. So I have been exhausted and learning how to pick what I do. So what do I put my hand to today? What am I going to do today? Because sometimes with the amount that I've bled, it just feels like I cannot even entertain doing a task in the afternoon. It's tough slugging for me. So I really have to be strategic about what I do. Anyway, so one night I was trying to sleep, and I kind of put my hands on my abdomen, and I just sort of say this is my abdomen. I just sort of caressed it, and I just connected to it, and I said, man. And I followed my line of between, my hips and onto where my ovaries and my fallopian tubes. And I just said, wow, what do you want to say? And that's when I started feeling this thing that I must admit I haven't felt before. So even through the fog of exhaustion, the story of my life started to emerge. My body began to whisper and say to me, yeah, you have a barrier. There's a barrier between us, and that's not just skin. The barrier is not just this thick skin that you have that separates the ovary and the uterus from your touch. There's a barrier here that you haven't seen before. What would it take for you to acknowledge the work that the uterus is done for you. And he was laying there and I'm like, right. Think about it for a second. Creativity resides in the womb, right? So in the ovary, in the fallopian tube, in the uterus, if you want to create life as a human, it all has to work together in unison, in unity, to bring forward something and to bring forward the power of creation with a human, with an embryo, with a cell, and then an embryo, and then a baby, and then after that, the baby is being nurtured, the baby is being taken care of, and then the uterus goes, oh, we got to go now. We got to get rid of this, and here's how we're going to do it. The uterus pushes out a child out of its space, and it knows when to make sure you don't bleed out. It knows when to release the child. It knows how, thinking about that was this wisdom and beauty. Now, I've thought about that before. That's not lost on me, that the body is amazing, that as women, we get to be the host of creation, but not in this way, where I'm bleeding out, I'm clotting, I'm bleeding, I have no idea what's going on, and my mind says, I need to move into a place of self-compassion where the conversation is about what actually happens in the creative process. And not only that, but let's talk about the creative process as in work and creativity and art and in expression. That's birthed within us. Where have I been suppressing it? Where have I been angry that I have not been able to live and do what I need to do because, I have things that have to happen. Being a mom, my youngest is 11, my oldest is 21, 2 girls on each side and boys in the middle. My kids put me through the ringer. But where have I moved my creative power and sort of suppressed that down for someone else to step forward, for their vision to step forward? We all do it. But this is really the connection that spirituality, and spiritually speaking, my body wanted to draw me into and say, have you really thought about this yet? Have you thought about this process and the beauty of it? And where have you been suppressing? And that was really, really interesting to me. And this whole idea about, about self-care emerged. In fact, I'm reading this book. Well, I'm not reading it. This is a workbook. It's called the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook. And again, I'll always refer to this podcast when I talk about emotions because, but I did it with Trish Wagner on Nurturing Emotional Courage, and Dr. Kristen Neff and Christopher Germer. They are doctors and they created this book together. And she says, listen to this. This is so cool. She says, self-compassion springs from the heart of mindfulness during moments of suffering. I was like, say that again? So she said it again because, it's in a text box, but then she really said it over here. She said, so here's the full quote. Self-compassion emerges from the heart of mindfulness when we meet suffering in our lives. Mindfulness invites us to open to suffering with loving, spacious awareness. Self-compassion adds, be kind to yourself in the midst of suffering. Together, mindfulness and self-compassion form a state of warm-hearted, connected presence during difficult moments in our lives. I was like, well, it could have just slapped me in the face. I thought, Wow. And that's what I want to leave you with today, because this doesn't need to be long. This just needs to be what we're talking about. This is an ongoing discussion as it comes up. But this was my moment of suffering. I do not know what is going to happen next, and I cannot worry. And so, I've family members and people saying, okay, so what are you doing? Like, what if she came back and said, do you want a hysterectomy? What are you going to do? And all these different things. And I just go, I'm not there. What I'm doing is I'm accepting the present moment, accepting it in a wholehearted surrender way that says, I am going to be kind to myself in the midst of suffering. Kindness for me means that I am going to press in to whatever's happening in the moment so that I don't have to feel anxiety. It's not that I don't want to feel anxiety. It's that I want to keep my mind clean and my mind strong by not being in denial, but by saying, look, I can't control this. This is okay. So how do I bring myself into awareness? By simply acknowledging, putting my hands on my uterus. Or maybe for you, it's putting your hands, you got a sore shoulder, you got a sore eye, or, maybe your back is sore. Put your hands on yourself. Connect in and say, I want to communicate. I am not separate from my body. My issue is not just an issue and then there's my mind and my soul. We're all connected. It's all connected and flowing together. What is it saying? Are there any memories? Because that's the other thing. I had a lot of memories of places in my stomach where, think about it, I gotta stand up for this, but someone says something to you, oh, that hurt. So somebody has says something that's not kind. Right? We take it in to our abdomen and we go, oh, maybe that's where pain lives for you. I'm going to tell you something. This is grand central station to pain for me. The uterus, the intestine, the stomach, pull in, pain. And I've been working through that. I got to tell you, this is a little plug for the show, but like in September, we are launching this next season, all these other podcasts that I've done, and they're really, really powerful. And we're talking about trauma. We're talking about releasing trauma. We're talking about, nurturing emotional courage and self-compassion in depth. We're talking about choosing ourselves and undoing all of this stuff. Follow me in this process, because I might be 45 and you might be 13, but I gotta tell you, I've lived a life that I understand something about this that I never understood before, and I don't want you to go through the same thing. And if you are 13 or 15 or whatever, and you're having PMS cramps and you're really having a hard time, ask your body. Get it in. Put your hands on your stomach and your uterus and say, what? Where am I feeling unworthiness? Maybe I'm not. Maybe you're not feeling unworthiness. Maybe you're feeling something else. But for me, there was unworthiness in there. I didn't feel like I valued myself enough to actually take care of myself. And that wasn't through exercise and eating. That's not self-care. Self-care is this compassion that comes from the heart of mindfulness, present moment. What am I saying? What is the universe saying to me? Being kind. Asking the question, what are you saying? The uterus is not going to physically talk to you, but I'll tell you what it is going to do. It might give you a feeling. You might all of a sudden feel like there's a thought package, it's called, where all of a sudden it's like something outside of yourself. It's freaky. It's like, what? Wait, who said that? Well, maybe that's just your energy body and your body speaking to you. Listen to it. No matter where you fall in religious belief, no matter where you fall scientifically, we all know that the body is connected to everything else, including our mind. And that's the journey that I'm on. That's the process that I'm on. The last 79 days have asked me to be brave. These days have said to bravery, you got to step forward. Lori needs you. And bravery has stepped forward and said, Lori, are you willing to learn how you have not loved yourself and appreciated yourself as a woman? Are you willing to learn that you actually denied creativity because you were sacrificing for others? That the galaxy and the universe of possibility that resides inside of your uterus, in that space, the endless possibilities of creation, you push down some of those things. And that's okay. But for every action, there is a reaction. Bravery just come forward and said, are you going to come here? Are you going to look here? Are you going to put your attention here? Are you going to focus your mindfulness right here? This is where your problem is. Bravery has said, I'm going to help you face the history of your story. And the details of that history aren't beautiful. Lots of them are sad. I have trauma in my life. I've been through trauma. I've had sexual assault. I've had, different things in my life. Abuse, unworthiness. And that sort of punctured like I told you, it's like that hurts. Bravery is leading me there now. And I'm picking myself. I said, it's never too late to choose me. And I will go into the presence of self-compassion and self-acceptance at 45 years old, and I will be taught. I will learn this as much as my body will allow, as much as I can fill, I will learn. So I thank this 79 days for being in my life, for teaching me, for showing me the lesson really is about self-compassion and mindfulness. So, and I have something to tell you. Okay, being mindful on this track. All right, so here's my pack of pills. And I'm sitting at my desk this morning and Sally walks in and she's like, oh, did you take your pill, Mom? I said, yeah, I did. And I flipped it over and I realized, because the last time I took a pill like this was maybe 24 years ago. I forgot that on the back is like when you take it. So you start here and then you start on the day that you get right? You start on the day that you get it and you go around. I didn't do that. I just was so hasty. I wanted this done. So I started here and then I went here and then I went here and then here and then here and then here. And it was on day 6 that I realized, no, it was on day 7 that I realized, oh, I think I'm doing this wrong. So anyway, for all you out there, make sure you take your pill like in the right way. I had no idea. I'm just like, okay, more to learn. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. And I hope something resonates with you because this is a very, very interesting journey. Have an excellent day. Have an excellent day. You know that you can always come by here, come by the show, and on Instagram and Facebook to get encouragement and to find out what we're up to. Thank you.